Matt Stamp here with Justin Flinner. Justin Flinner is a teacher of Chinese martial arts. He's lived in China, trained in China, has competed in China. He's a acupuncturist, and he's in the Washington D.C. area. Justin, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And just want to go over your martial art history.
Sure.
Tell me how did it all start?
Well, actually around the late 90s, around 98, roughly, I started because my brother and some other friends of mine were also practicing Taekwondo. So I thought it was interesting. I wanted to give it a shot. I had always had some kind of an affinity for Asian culture. I thought, man, this is a good channel. So I started to practice a little bit, and I got into it quite a bit, and then I was given the opportunity to also teach some kids, which I really enjoyed as well, until I went off to college out in Ohio, and then I came across a Wushu instructor, Nick Grayson, and he's now been my teacher for almost 20 years. A number of styles. I initially started with some long fist, some southern fist, other external styles, animal styles, weapons, all kinds, double 9-section whip, all kinds of different things. And then he sort of allowed me to move into the art of Tai Chi. So I practiced Tai Chi for some time and introduced me to Bagua and Shini, of course, since they're so related. And I've also practiced some Fu style Tai Chi as well. So once I progressed. A little bit farther than sort of opened me to the lineage of Fu style, which he's been practicing for a very long time, and he's extraordinary at it. So I'm very grateful to have such a good teacher, and to have found such a good teacher, and I've had the opportunity to meet others as well, and I've been with him ever since.
So what made you interested in your wanting to pursue an education in Oriental medicine?
You know, that's a question that I still ask myself to this day. I'm not actually sure. Like I said earlier, I've had an affinity for Asian culture since I was a child, whether it was books, art, music, movies, all kinds of different things. And I guess it just, it grew over the years. So I lived in China after I had started Chinese martial arts, and I also lived in Korea for some time as well. And I was there on my own. I wasn't with a group or anything like that. I was all by myself. Of course, I had other friends and whatnot that I met over there. And I had adopted something from the culture of both countries. And there was something to it that I wasn't able to find or experience here in this country. So I thought.
Did you have acupuncture, or?
I had never had acupuncture before I went to acupuncture school. So many people were surprised, even my teachers at acupuncture school. You've never had acupuncture? Nope. So I've been exposed to the theories of Chinese medicine and martial arts for many years. So Yang, the 5 elements, you name it. I mean,
Bagua,
everything. All these different ways of looking at how life progresses through nature, and it all connects. So I thought that acupuncture really does have something to offer, and the medicine is really powerful. And I knew some people who were acupuncturists, so I did interview with them. I never, like I said, I never received it. Treatment, at least.
I just heard your school was one of the top 5 or top 10 in the country.
My school?
Yeah, it was ranked on some website. It was talking about the top.
My clinic?
No, the school that you went to in Maryland.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah,
the school, Maryland University of Integrative Health. They changed their name right around the time I was graduating. It used to be Tai Sophia Institute.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't actually know that they were ranked 10th.
Yeah, I'll have to show you. Another acupuncturist posted it.
They've grown quite a bit since I graduated. I added on a number of new programs, a number of instructors. They're growing immensely. They even have a program, I think, now with Georgetown University.
Nice.
So they're opening their doors quite a bit, and it's working really well for them. That's great.
And this, we can segue into your clinic in D.C.
My clinic, My Metro Medicine, I've been doing that for about 3-4 years now.
MyMetroMedicine.com.
Yeah, MyMetroMedicine.com. And I offer anything from acupuncture, Tai Chi, martial arts training, self-defense courses, seminars, workshops. I do all kinds of different things.
And you have your own Tai Chi in the park too?
I do. I started a small group. I called it White House Tai Chi. I gave it a slightly different name. Actually, a very different name. But it fits the area, so it's very close to the White House, which is the reason I called it that. One of the reasons. And the group has been going since late last year. Growing. We're out in Farragut Park, Farragut Square, so just off the metro, very easy to get to. And I have seminars every month, so it's been going really well. I enjoy it.
There's a Facebook group probably.
Yeah, there's a Facebook page. There's all kinds of social media, you name it. Everything's available on my website.
Okay. I want to know more about Fu style. I've seen it. I've seen, Coach Grayson do the Liang. I've seen some other masters. The guy you mentioned that passed away, Master Liang. Yeah, he passed away. Amazing movements and the Bagua push hands and the spear. I've seen some amazing spear from those guys.
Yeah, they have some skill that I honestly have never seen in any of my background with martial arts. And the practitioners that I've competed against and whatnot, it's very hard to find. So Fu style is very unique, and the creator of Fu Zhenzong is actually one of the 5 northern tigers, I believe is the correct term. So he was highly respected and highly regarded as a martial artist, and he developed a style after, to my understanding, I may be not as accurate as other people who are well into Fu style, but he observed a lot of the other Taiji styles, took some of the important elements and took out some of the not so necessary elements, and he created this very unique style that is immensely challenging as a student.
Yeah.
But when you see someone who has mastered Fu style, there is nothing else like it. So that is one of the big attractions for me as a Tai Chi practitioner now. Not just because of the skill that they have.
There's so much in there. There's like the Tai Chi, the Bagua, the Xingyi.
They combine the
stuff.
3. So I mean, the phrase that my teacher always says, and many martial artists say as well, is using the Tai Chi body, the Bagua leg, and the Xingyi hand. The combination of all of them basically turns you into not immortal or not invincible, but I mean, you become a very well-rounded martial artist.
I saw your video online of double whip chain.
Which one?
With the aerial.
Well, the only one that said.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm old enough, but the last time I practiced that form was about over 10 years ago. Or I should say, the last time I had done an aerial was over 10 years ago. That was the first one I had ever done in a decade.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that I was able to do it. It worked. The ground wasn't the best, but hey, I pulled it off. But double whips was
most challenging of all. I mean, what do you think is your most challenging?
Weapons of that nature just require a lot of skill and practice. I mean, the nature of Kung Fu, time and effort. So I'd say the most challenging thing is what I'm actually learning now, which happens to be Fu style. Not simply because of the movements, because anybody can practice and whatnot and gain the idea of where the movements come from and whatnot, but also the nature of waist movement, and just Fu style itself has so many intricacies built into it that you could practice one movement for a year and you would still be halfway there. It's amazing. So that's the most challenging thing, and also reminding myself to be a humble martial artist as well. So the ethics of martial arts are important to me, and I get reminded every day as to the importance of that as being a martial artist. So I wouldn't really say the forms, because the forms are very easy to learn, and it's very easy to forget as well. It's like a language. You can forget it, go back to it, and you'll be fine at it within a short period of time.
What advice do you have for non-Asian students of Oriental medicine?
Non-Asian students of Oriental medicine, that's a good question. Don't be too biased. Don't believe that Oriental medicine has much more to offer than Western, and vice versa. Don't think that Western medicine has much more to offer than Oriental medicine. Oriental medicine is just as an alternative form of medicine as Western medicine is as well. It depends on the patient. It depends on just any person in general. So for practitioners who are non-Asian, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it, because just like anything else,
It's principle-based.
Principle-based, but even more so than that, it's about the individual. So the medicine is very powerful. If you put your heart into it, anything can be that nature. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned of being a practitioner is that the medicine has changed quite a bit since the Cultural Revolution in China. A lot of documents were destroyed, a lot of important elements that were essential to Chinese medicine, Oriental medicine, I should just say Chinese, were destroyed during that era. And people fled to this country. And a lot of the people here who are not Asian, who practice now, tried to adopt a lot of the techniques that were taken over to this country, but also some of the ones that disappeared, and started to delve a little bit deeper into the practice of more spiritual based and things like that. So there's a lot about Oriental medicine that people have forgotten, or that was lost, or that it's just very hard to come across in general. So be very open-minded if you practice Oriental medicine, not just because of what people say. It's a lot of woo. I don't even know. Woo medicine, things like that. No, I mean, if you can build a bridge, your own bridge, between different forms of medicine, then you can truly understand the power of it, because Oriental medicine doesn't have all the answers, just like Taiji is not the best form of martial arts, or other forms of Wushu, excuse me. So keep your mind open and allow yourself to experience other things as well, because traditionally when they would teach years and years and years ago, they would only teach you one thing for a very long period of time, and then they would send you off to another teacher and say, you must now go off and learn other techniques, even though you become well-grounded in this. And I guess you could say also that martial artists sort of do the same thing as well. I know my teacher was very open to that. He would say, no, don't learn everything from me, make sure you go off and experience it with other people.
What do you think of, since the age of YouTube, you see so much what's out there now. Like back in my day, you're lucky to have a videotape with some good kung fu, some good wushu to watch. What can the community, not just the wushu community, but the taiji community do better in this age of, I mean, you just see so much junk on YouTube. You see these guys flying in the air, you see a lot of compliance stuff.
Well, I mean, the first thing is to just think to yourself, like, isn't that interesting? Whether you judge it or not. I mean, you shouldn't judge it to begin with, because things change. Even the practice of Oriental medicine, for example, the techniques have come up, kinesthetic acupuncture. There's all kinds of different techniques that have come forward that didn't exist decades or centuries ago. I mean, it just wasn't there. Why? Because life changes, the lifestyle changes. And martial arts is the same way. So for martial arts, or anything in general on YouTube, take it for a grain of salt. You can't believe everything that's online nowadays, but it doesn't mean that everything isn't bad. It's relative to what is.
Now now we're in a decade of the whole MMA, UFC thing. How is traditional martial arts gonna survive the I guess the cookie cutter McDojo? You know, let's just build a fighter. We're gonna teach him groundwork, punching, kicking. He's gonna do the Muay Thai, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, and just be a beast. And just creating a fast fighter without the martial spirit. I mean, what's your view of the whole UFC explosion and mixed martial arts?
Yeah, that's a good question, because essentially people are looking at practicality now. So for martial arts, why go off and learn different techniques or practice, say, horse stance for a long period of time when you could be learning how to be the best fighter in the octagon, or a brawl. They're turning them into brawlers, essentially, and even kids are now doing it, which is not right. I mean, putting a child into the octagon is not the way martial arts was designed.
I agree.
So I think it's gone.
Even though I like the sport, I disagree with putting the kids in there.
It's interesting to watch when you do have some good fighters, but at the same time, MMA has put quite a bit of a bad.
Business.
It is, because that's what the viewers want. They don't want to watch people that do these tricky techniques that look like they're dancing, which is what most people say, especially Tai Chi. It's like, oh, it's kind of a dance. Actually, it's not, and we shouldn't take offense to that. What we should do is know that we are practicing something that is worthwhile for ourselves as well as other people, and deliver that message in a way that other people can sort of chew on it, and then maybe swallow it and say, oh, this tastes good, let me have another taste. So the traditional techniques are important. We shouldn't disregard them. Some of the old practices, like holding a horse stance for an hour or something, may not be necessary. It can actually be detrimental to your health, and given the lifestyle.
I want to circle back to traditional Chinese medicine, because one of my teachers brought up a good idea that the diseases and the problems that people had in the past is not what we have today. What are you seeing today that your practice of acupuncture is doing to help people? I would think it would be stress. Our stress levels of today is probably much different than centuries ago.
Yeah,
and the diseases then are probably different than now.
So when you say stress, I mean, the first thing when a patient comes to me and they say, well, I'm very stressed, I have no idea what they mean. They need to be able to tell me what that is, what the symptoms are, how they progressed, what they're going to move towards, what they're going to move away from, how it changes inside of their body. So the number one thing that I see missing from a lot of patients, and I just say people in general, is their ability to observe what's happening inside of their body. So one of the presidents of the school that I went to, he's now retired, and he runs his own clinic up in, I think, Columbia, Maryland. He would always push into our brains that your body is wise and your symptoms are your teachers. So we have a lot to learn from what the body tells us. So whenever something appears that doesn't seem normal to us, whether it's as small as an itch or it's a rash or something of that nature, it's pointing to something. So every symptom is always indicative to what's going on inside.
And this is interesting. At our talk at dinner, I was saying, okay, I'm more aware of my body now that I'm in school. I'm learning all these symptoms and these stages. We were talking about how the weather's been changing, and then I'm having these funny sweats for a few days, and then the ancient texts talk about that. You go through your neck feeling stiff, and then later on, you might feel something in your nose or throat, and then it becomes, a cough or runny nose. Or yeah. So
and that's actually points to another thing for advice to non-Asian practitioners or any practitioner of Oriental medicine, which is refrain from self-diagnosing as much as possible. I know we want to look into the books and figure out, oh, I have this symptom, oh, I could have this. I mean, I could diagnose myself probably with cancer right now if I looked in a book. But that just adds to the idea of like stress. Like it puts, we like to talk about labels. We put labels on any kind of symptom. We create diseases. Our job as human beings should be to help heal ourselves as opposed to help to destroy ourselves. So if we are good at destroying ourselves, we should be able to be just as good as the other on the other side.
Right.
So to answer your previous question as to like what kind of things am I seeing nowadays, it's interesting because we have built a lifestyle of having a home that has a stable environment inside. Doesn't matter what's going on outside of the home. It could be 115 degrees outside, 100% humidity, but inside our homes it's in 70 to some degrees with air conditioning on. We have a nice glass of ice water, keep us cool. So we have lived this way for as long as we've had this kind of a lifestyle, and we do the same things day in and day out, 12 months of the year. So we've lost our ability to stay in touch with what happens outdoors, which is where we're sitting right now on this beautiful porch. And nature is really the best teacher for us when it comes to our health. Because what happens outside of our body, literally, happens also inside of our body. You feel different during different types of weather and in different climates. So how you feel in winter may be completely different from how you feel in summer and spring. And I mean, this is the beauty of the five elements of Wushu, because they teach you about the seasons, they teach you about organs, that they're related, and the patterns that often occur, which are not always the same. But we don't see a lot of the patterns that existed centuries ago that are well documented in a lot of the classical texts that we frequently study in school. So one of the people who have changed that slightly is Machota, I believe. He has actually added a lot of diagnoses in his text based off of what he has seen progressing over the years, even the analysis of the tongue to diagnose different diseases. He has added different appearances.
I noticed that, like he adds guilt rather than like the classic, sadness or like the grief, anger, pensiveness. He's added a little bit more emotions, and because people from different religions, like they deal with guilt on a certain level, And I was reading about how he was talking about that, and he's really taking things to the modern time. I see where you're going.
Yes. So the progression of how health is looked at has obviously changed, but also the changes in how we live our lives has changed dramatically. So, like I said, we live in a house that has a stable temperature. You go to work in a workplace that usually AC is running. It's probably dry in there. They don't like humidity in there. It'll destroy the building. So the practices that we have now are very different than the practices they had before. You didn't have to carry water from the river to